The last tournament I played in was a week ago today. It was an indoor tournament in Corvallis, Oregon. I played 2 events with Wesley Gabrielson, and we got a gold and a silver, and I used the Outbreak for both events.
Awesome.
I was a little back and forth, so I didn't go all week. I didn't go for age. I only went for the open events. So it was a pretty big adjustment when I got there, because here it was about 50 degrees and there it was, 85. So the ball was very different. So I fiddled around with a couple different paddles, and the Outbreak had just gotten approved, and we didn't know if it was even going to be approved or not. But I ended up using it at nationals, for both days. I used it in mixed and in men's. Definitely when I first tried it, the first thing I thought was like, wow, you can really like feel the ball on this paddle. And it, like you said, because of the way that they've woven the text stream, together. I mean, I can sure you can see the checkerboard style. That's not just a visual. That's because the carbon fiber is woven together. Which is different than any other paddle surface out there. Every other paddle surface, the carbon fiber is going one way, because carbon fiber is made in strips. And so it's all going one way. But with the text stream, because it lays flat, we're able to weave it, and that gives the paddle just phenomenal touch. And so that was my first instinct. My first impression of the paddle was just in how soft it was and how easy it was to control the ball when you're using it. It is a touch paddle. It's not designed to be a power paddle. You can get power from it if you swing hard. I mean, if you swing hard, you can get power, but the paddle itself is not going to generate any power for you. It is meant to be a soft paddle to help you control the ball, and help out control your opponent. So the extra thickness was another part of the design in trying to make a very control-oriented paddle. They added thickness to the core to help dampen vibrations and help add even more control to a control-based paddle face. And the head heaviness that you mentioned, that's also by design. So in making a touch paddle, you lose some power along the way. And so making the paddle a little bit head heavier, bringing that balance point up a little bit, actually adds a little bit of power back into the paddle. So that was one thing that Zach from Onix, the paddle designer, one thing that he took in some advice from players when we tried some initial prototypes is that it was a little weak because he was trying to make a touch paddle. And that was an improvement he made, make it a little bit head heavier to help accommodate some power, even though he's making a touch paddle. I like paddles like this, the touch paddles, when I'm using a softer ball. So when the Dura ball is really warm and it gets softer, then I prefer a touch paddle like this, as well as an indoor jugs ball or the Onix Fuse line of balls. Those are all softer versions of a pickleball. And so that's where I really noticed this paddle shining, is when the ball is softer, and you really have so much control. I feel like I can put the ball anywhere on the court from any position. So a lot of third shot drops feel really nice with this paddle. I don't worry about hitting it too long, and then once you dial in that touch with this paddle, you don't worry about hitting it too short either. You really find that groove, and your third shot drops end up being really good. I have a lot of confidence in my resets at the net. Just last week I had a point where I was playing against a guy here from Oregon, Eric Lang, who's a really good player, and he hit 6 or 7 balls as hard as he could at me, and I dropped them all back into the kitchen, 6 or 7 in a row. And I with a a different paddle, maybe I don't do that. I don't know. But I do feel really confident with taking a ball from anywhere on the court, a hard hit ball, and being able to reset it. It does feel like a good sweet spot. I've definitely tried paddles before where you can tell as soon as you start hitting some balls that doesn't feel consistent. I mean, a wood paddle would be an extreme case of a small sweet spot. With a paddle like a wood paddle, you almost don't expect to hit the sweet spot, and then when you do, you hit it way too hard. This paddle feels very, very consistent. So it would be like the opposite of that, which a lot of modern paddles have worked on bigger sweet spots, and I think this one falls right in line with most of the paddle face is a sweet spot. And you're going to get a paddle that a large amount of people would be able to use and would like. I think it's almost would be more efficient to say what type of player doesn't want to use this paddle, and that's the type of player that's going to stand at the back line and try and hit balls hard, harder than your opponents can react to them. This paddle's not going to be very effective for that because it's meant to have a lot of control, so it's going to be much better for third shot drops than it is for third shot drives. And then once you do hit that drop, most players that are looking to drop are looking to get into the net and then take advantage of your opponent some way once you're at the net. And this paddle is going to be great for that.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, awesome.
So
All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you want to get this paddle, go to onixpickleball.com or check out my website www.pickleballpaddlereviews.net. If you use my promo code ordering from Onix, the promo code is Jack15. It will get you 15% off the price of the paddle. And who's that in the back? You'll get 15% off, which is a really good deal for a premium paddle like this that just came out. And they may be, I'm not sure if they're back ordered on them. There was, last time I looked, I think it was in stock, but if it's not in stock, just be patient. I'm sure they'll get it right back into stock as soon as possible. But you can get that order in with the promo code Jack15 and you'll have it on the way soon. I really urge everybody that likes soft touch paddles to try this one out. It's one of the softest paddles I've ever tried, and I really mean that. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Again, keep up with my website, pickleballpaddlereviews.net. There's a link on the front page to paddle deals, and I post all my promo codes there, and I try to update that all the time. So if you're looking for new paddles, keep that on your favorites, okay? And we'll see everybody soon. I hope everyone has a good holiday, and take care. Thanks for tuning in.